Freeburg Garage, and today we are doing a how-to video on my 1992 Harley Davidson FXR, and we are changing the primary oil, one of the easiest oils to change, but of course what is easy to some may be hard, and this is why we're doing the video, is to learn how to do it. And of course we're going to follow by the service manual to get every single spec, even if it is an easy job, to make sure it is 100, because sometimes the easiest jobs can become a 3-day problem because you just winged it and you forgot one piece and it screwed up everything. So that's why we're going to break it down and make it easy. I already have an how-to video on how to change your oil on an FXR. It's up here. Go check it out if you've never done it before. I do a very in-depth video on that to make sure that you get every bit correct on it, from the specs to oil, everything. Now, why are we changing the primary oil? Well, first of all, my derby cover is actually leaking, so it was just perfect timing to get this primary oil changed. I just did a chain conversion 3 months ago on this, and when I was chasing a leak left and right, it was coming from my inner primary. The way I knew that it was inner primary is because what was happening, the oil was tracking onto the belt and flinging it, and it was dumping it at the back. So every time I would let my bike sit after a ride, I'd come back and find a nice pool of oil at the rear tire. It's just leaking down right in the belt and shooting it back. It makes a big old mess. So if you ever have one of those, don't think it's anything else. You're gonna have to pull apart your inner primary, get behind there, change one of the seals, because it's either gonna be inner primary, it's gonna be your transmission seal, or your 5th gear main seal. Luckily, in my scenario, I looked around and it is coming clearly from the bottom of my derby, and it was the only gasket, the only one, after tearing this entire thing apart, putting it all back together, making sure everything was to its spec, brand new. It was the only gasket that I reused because I just, during the time, didn't buy a new one, or no, I did have a new one, it just didn't fit. It was the wrong one that I got. So just reuse the old one, didn't have any cracks, but that shows you use the old stuff, you're gonna have problems. Now, let's go over what we're gonna need for the tools, or if you're doing the job at home, what tools do you need? First of all, a lift of some kind, or a jack stand. Mine is on a Harbor Freight motorcycle lift, and it keeps the bike up and down or perpendicular. The reason why is on the service manual states that you have to be up and down to allow the oil, of course, to drain, but as well as refilling the oil, it needs to be in this position. You can, of course, try it, but I have actually done that before, and it makes quite the mess, and you are way off on your measurements. Now, that's the first part. Second is my favorite that never goes away and everyone seems to forget about, is your oil drain pan. Mine is a rectangular style. I love this. It's more fitting for my bike. The circular ones are much bigger and harder to get under this. I know it sounds crazy to be obsessed over it, but it just fits perfect and it captures all the oil. It is so nice because it's less maintenance or cleaning up behind that you gotta do. Right there, bam, fits right on the lift. Perfect, beautiful, love that. All right, so that's the easy part. Next, we are doing the tools. We have a ratchet, 3/8 to be exact. You can use any other size, but this is the one I use, and you can reduce, adapt, whatever you wanna call it, go bigger or smaller. Next, we're gonna go buy a torque wrench here, T40, a 4mm hex head for the tools. Material-wise is what they would call in the shop, right? We're gonna need some primary oil. I use the house brand drag specialties. I like this stuff. I've used it for quite some time. Haven't had any problems. As long as you are changing your primary oil, you should have no problem. Now that is also up to changing the oil every 5,000 miles. That is what the service manual tells you, unless if you're in your break-in period, that's 500, but then it switches to every 5,000. Now that is also based on my 1992 Harley Davidson FXR, which of course is what we need to go by and what I go by, and that is the service manual. This is the Bible that I go by to make sure everything is 100% correct. Now, derby cover gasket, Teflon tape. All right, let's get to draining this. All right, first up is removing the drain plug. Very standard. Very little burrs on there, which is awesome. Having a little on there is completely normal. You have a high friction area. This is where your clutch is at, so you want to have very small. Now, if you have massive jagged pieces on here, it's definitely something that you probably should open up your whole primary and have a look. The little shavings or little files on there, perfectly fine and normal. With the oil drain, we're gonna take off the derby cover. The reason why I didn't remove this first is because you just get a bunch of oil sprayed all over you, dumped on your hand, just makes a mess. So you just wanna remove that first. Make sure that we're good. Remove the old gasket. All right, we're gonna reinstall the drain plug, putting plenty of Teflon on it. These are notorious for leaking as well if you don't have them nice and sealed up. So that's what we're gonna do. Right there, good to go. With the 30 ounces of primary fluid in there, it's just hitting the bottom of the basket above that silver ring around the clutch basket. And in the manual, it shows exactly to that level where it should stand, between the 38 to 44 ounces. That's where you want it to be. That looks perfect. I'm gonna put up a picture so you guys can see what I'm talking about, and that nails it. All right, let's get the cover on. All right, we're gonna put the new gasket on. Old one, new design. Sealant goes towards the bike. Much better sealed all the way around than just a little rubber gasket. It's like a tire wall that it blocks now. All right, and we're gonna torque down the cover. It's gonna be 7 pounds to 9 pounds. 7. That's 9. All right, we're wiped back down, we're cleaned up, we got new fluid, new gasket, and torqued down to spec, we're good to go. But a very important part that the service manual does mention when adding fluid to your primary, if you don't do it to spec and you overfill this primary, you're gonna have problems with your clutch engaging and even miss neutral or have a hard time finding neutral. So that is a problem that is happening on your bike, or if this has been done to your bike and you are seeing problems maybe a year later or the last time it's happened, definitely check into it. An easy problem to fix when, of course, it's happened or you have done it yourself. So that about wraps it for me in this one, guys. I would greatly appreciate it if you could hit the subscribe button, tap that like, press that notification, leave a comment below and tell me what you think. And for those that have already subscribed, thank you. And as always, stay free. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.